welcome back to another episode of the Ville Chillin' Podcast, part of the Villain ENT Network. My name is Aaron.
My name's Jack.
And just a reminder, we are on all major podcast services from Spotify to Apple, Google to Stitcher, etc. Check us out there. Give us a follow or a rating. It really helps us out. And definitely please consider subscribing to this channel or leaving a comment on a video. Whether it's, just suggesting a different video or anything, whatever you want us to talk about related to Louisville, Kentucky, just drop us a comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our other Villain ENT channels, Ville Grillin' and Ville Gaming. The grilling one is definitely lackluster, lost some footage, but the gaming one, Jack's going hard. I
was rocking some Tony Hawk the other day. I got a
pretty
really
nice, awesome combo, didn't you?
Yeah, but then I fell. So
well,
I'll get them next time.
Either way, check out that short. It's pretty funny and it's really, really quick. So yeah, with that, today's episode actually continuing the Louisville businesses series. I guess that we filmed an intro a few weeks back, and now we're kind of taking a deeper dive. So
expanding on the businesses we already talked about.
Yeah, so that list kind of hit the three major topics on this site. There's major employers, and then there was top private companies and top public sector companies. So today we're just going to be talking about the major employers, and we basically, because it's a pretty long list, we can't touch on all of them, but we will be touching on all of them who employ over 10,000 people. I think is where we kind of drew the line. So we got these top 6 here. And the goal is to just kind of run through, give a quick history, mostly a history of how and why they're in Louisville, and I guess kind of what still keeps them relevant as a Louisville business today, what's really kept them going, making them Louisville's largest employers. So depending on how long it is, I do want to preface that this could be a 2-part series. We don't really know how long this is going to be. So with that, I guess, do you have anything to add before we jump in?
No, let's... Oh, curious.
All right. So the top employer by a pretty large margin is definitely UPS, United Parcel Service.
Not surprised there.
Yeah, definitely not surprised. 25,090. It's obviously that floats, but 25,000 people, that's a lot. That's a lot of employment just for, the greater Louisville area. And a lot of money generated just off like income tax and stuff. So
I think everyone's either worked at UPS before, or know somebody that has, or are working at UPS right now. I mean, that's
pretty much if you live in Louisville. I mean, Jack Harlow even calls out UPS workers in a song, so that kind of shows how ingrained they are in Louisville. So the company itself was actually founded in 1907 as the American Messenger Company, and through multiple mergers and acquisitions over the years, the name ended up being changed to United Parcel Service in 1919. Carrier services were expanded around the world and, around the country over the years, coming to Louisville in 1963. So 1963 is when they pretty much started opening, shipping hubs and stuff to deliver locally. In 1980, UPS opened the first major sorting hub in Louisville to be transported by aircraft. And so something that I found interesting when you're talking about flying stuff, especially flying packages, the location is important because we're like the westernmost point of the Eastern time zone. And so what that does is by plane, it makes most of the U.S. accessible in less than 3 hours. Like on average, they can get to almost any major point in the U.S. in 2.5 to 3 hours because of that time zone crossover.
I never would have thought of that. That's
I never would have either.
Definitely like the location as far as like the logistics where we are makes sense, but the time difference, like I never would have thought that came to play as much as it does.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely didn't either. And so UPS Airlines, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of UPS, was actually opened in 1988, and that's what is headquartered here in Louisville. The UPS Airlines, which handles all the jets and everything, that is headquartered here in Louisville, even though I think the main UPS headquarters is in Georgia, I believe. So growth of the UPS hub has grown a lot over the years. The Worldport project was completed in 2002, and that expansion cost $1 billion and expanded the hub to 4 million square feet, which is double its previous size. A third expansion completed in 2010 increased the size to 5.2 million square feet. So that's a lot. And I mean, I remember those, growing up around here, having friends who, it's like it was announced UPS was expanding, so they had to start buying up houses around the airport. I knew a couple families who got money to move so that they could buy the property and expand. So the UPS and its ever expanding Worldport have created jobs for, again, over 25,000 people. And that's like current employees. That's not how many people it's affected over the years. Like you were saying, everybody's either worked there or has thought about working there or is working there.
Right. I got my cousin went to was going to the UPS night shift, and that paid for his college to get through like speed school, and he's like engineer with LG now or not, GE now. So like it played a big role for him.
And they have really awesome partnerships with JCPS and U of L to help people with that. And so the location of Louisville has always been a huge factor, considering logistics just in history, right? From like 1800s to now, because of the highways, really. The Spaghetti Junction, where I-65, I-64, I-71 are located. So not even talking jets, that allows trucks to just quickly jump on any highway and be headed west, be headed north, be headed south, pretty easily. So Louisville has always been a major thing there, but then that doesn't even account for barges along the river and railroads,
So we really do like a whole like land, sea, and air type thing.
Absolutely.
Really when it comes to like business and stuff.
We hit all of it as far as logistics go. And I even read that a lot of, when UPS opened their Worldport here, a lot of businesses, smaller businesses especially, who had the ability to moved here, or at least their warehousing operations moved here so that they could be closer to getting those packages out to people as fast as possible through the Worldport.
That makes sense.
So pretty crazy. Definitely shows why they're here, why they've always stayed here. And I mean, I'm sure they've received various tax incentives and stuff, but I think it's really an important thing because they have just kind of chosen to stay here. I don't remember I definitely didn't read anything about it, and I've never heard of like, oh no, UPS might pull out of Louisville, right? Which we've heard with some other major businesses here. So,
well, and I'm curious about the history as far as the Worldport expansion back in 2002. That was right after or during, I guess, the Louisville Metro merger, right? So I wonder if that played a role in, maybe those tax incentives or something from the expansion was able. When we're guessing here at this point, right. It's interesting. It's something I'd like to look into. Just curious.
Yeah, we can definitely go back to any of these that we talk about today and take a deeper dive into any of them. I find it interesting. And so just some random facts. The Worldport here is 5.2 million square feet, which is about 90 football fields, 7.2 miles around the perimeter. They sort about 416,000 packages per hour. There's 33,496 conveyors. In December, they move about 4 million packages a day.
That's what I was going to say. Those numbers are different during peak.
Peak season. Yeah, that was always a fun time. It's a 13-minute average sort time for a package. So from the time it's unloaded off of one plane or truck to making it to its next can or truck to be shipped out, about 13 minutes, which isn't bad at all. 125 aircraft parking spots. That's a lot of aircraft to be able to house it just in the UPS part of the airport. 70 self-park aircraft docks. I don't really know what that means by self-park, but again, these are just some random facts.
They got 70 of them.
They got 70 of them. I'm wondering if it's ones where it's like a big enough area where they don't need to be taxied by another vehicle to the parking spot. They can just pull up in the plane because it's big enough. About 300 flights arrive and depart daily. There's flights every single day of the week, and it's the world's largest automated package handling facility. So
I did not know that.
yeah, it's huge. That's why it's such a big deal, and that's why they employed 25,000 people.
I knew it was big, but I didn't know it was the biggest in the world. I mean, that's competing with like China, India, like all these countries with like huge populations.
But they don't have like one consolidated package carrier, I don't think, like UPS. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
I mean, I'm just curious. Like, this is interesting. I mean, like,
there's a
all that's being
reason
handled right here.
There's a reason UPS ships packages for other carriers. Like, they got the system down and they got the infrastructure in place. A lot of mail you get has probably been through the USPS system at one point, or the UPS system at one point, because they move a lot of stuff for the postal office. I also saw another article where UPS, like the hubs were pretty much compared to like a crazy like indoor conveyor belt theme park, because when stuff's running in there, it is like it's just packages just flying down chutes and along belts and everything else. It's kind of crazy. It's like a bunch of roller coasters and water slides for packages. So UPS definitely a major player here, and hopefully continue to be for a long, long time.
Definitely.
Next up, we got JCPS, so the Jefferson County Public Schools. And they actually have a pretty rich history dating back to the early 19th century. The Louisville Public Schools began in 1829. Now, notice I said Louisville Public Schools. On April 14th, 1829, the Louisville Mayor and Council established a public school for children under 16 years of age. And on August 17th, 1829, a school was opened at the southwest corner of 5th and Green, which is now Liberty, in the rented upper story of the Baptist Church. And then in September 1830, the first public school building in the Louisville Public School District was opened at the corner of 5th and Walnut, now Muhammad Ali. So JCPS, so again, not the Louisville Public Schools, but JCPS traces its origins to an act of the legislature of Kentucky, which established a system of common schools in the state in 1838. Official reports begin with the 1840 annual report of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, and the common schools of Jefferson County reported that 30 schools were districted previous to 1840. So that's a pretty quick movement to get a lot of schools up and running. So the Louisville Public Schools, there we go, and the Jefferson County Public Schools merged April 1st, 1975 into what we now know as the Jefferson County Public School District, because they were separated before. And something I didn't know that I find interesting is that you can actually request access to the JCPS archives by contacting like the Archives and Records Center if you have like research purposes, and they'll help you dig into some more. So they don't have too much public other than that. I mean, of course, I could have looked up statistics of how many kids, how many teachers, and all that, but I don't think that really plays too much into what we're getting to here, other than it's notable that they employ almost 15,000 people, so that's a lot. And I mean, it's it's obvious what's kept them here. It's a public school system. But for the public school system to be the second largest employer in the cities, I don't know, I find that interesting. I didn't expect to see the school system that high on the list.
Right. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, that definitely means, with them employing that many people in the community, the community is involved in our education, like we are,
Absolutely
part of it with that being employed there. I mean, that's, especially when it's second to the the only thing it's second to is the biggest package handling facility in the world. So that's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah, you got a point. Coming second to that, even if it is by 10,000, is still pretty substantial.
Definitely.
So the next major employer is one that's kind of near and dear to my heart, I guess. Norton Healthcare, employing almost 14,000 people. And of course, the reason it's important to me is my mom worked there for however many years. She was from the doctor's offices to the actual emergency room. She was a Norton employee for a long, long time. She worked at Cosair at one point. I mean, she was all over the place. So
you hear Norton, you probably thought it was a family friend back in the day because you just heard it so much. You're going to see Norton. Okay, Mom, see you later. Go see Norton.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's cool.
Norton Healthcare was actually founded in 1886.
Man.
And it was named by Mary Louise Sutton Norton and was originally called the John N. Norton Memorial Infirmary in honor of her late husband. So basically what she did is she gave her home to a group of women called the Home Mission Society of St. Paul's Episcopal Church, who was raising money to build a hospital in Louisville. And what they ended up doing is they sold the Norton home and took those proceeds to create the infirmary. And Norton Healthcare's site states specifically, Faith Heritage has guided its mission of caring for the sick and injured in the Louisville community. So they were founded by the Episcopal Church, and then many of the hospitals that they've kind of absorbed over the years were founded by many other faiths, such as, the United Methodist Church, Catholic Church, Presbyterian churches.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they just considered a full faith heritage.
Okay, so like when you hear St. Mary's and all these other hospitals local here, the church, the names come from the churches that helped establish them. Yes. Okay, that's really cool.
Yep. Huh. So Norton Healthcare is a Kentucky healthcare system with more than 40 clinics and hospitals in and around Louisville, Kentucky. And the hospital and healthcare system is Louisville area's third largest private employer, with more than 140 locations throughout greater Louisville and southern Indiana. The Louisville-based not-for-profit system includes 5 Louisville hospitals with 1,900 licensed beds, 7 outpatient centers, 17 immediate care centers, over 17 employees, over 1,500 employed medical providers, and approximately 2,000 total physicians on its medical staff. And so you might have noticed that 1,700 employees and 2,000 physicians don't add up to 14,000, but you got to think that they have their own they do food and stuff for the people. Like, those aren't technically medical staff, so that's why those numbers were low. That's including specifically medical staff.
Everyone.
So Norton has many major service lines, from their Cancer Institute and Heart Care Center to neuroscience and sports health. So they've done a lot here.
Really cutting edge.
And I mean, of course, the children's hospitals, Cosair and everything is a pretty nationally renowned children's hospital. So in 2021, Norton Healthcare was named by Healthiest Employers as the 10th healthiest place to work in the country, and has twice been awarded an honorable mention for the C. Everett National Health Awards. In 2020, the 5 Louisville hospitals and Norton Cancer Institute were named LGBTQ healthcare equality leaders by the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, earning a top score of 100 on the Healthcare Equality Index for the 3rd year in a row. So I think that's also really important to mention. not to go too deep into this or anything, but a lot of times when you hear faith and religion, you're going to be a little surprised that they're earning awards for LGBTQ healthcare equality. And so
that's awesome.
It's really cool that they just care about the community. They just want to help people and heal people, which is really cool. So that's Norton. Again, I've always gone to Norton. I'm pretty sure I was born at Norton. My daughter was born at Norton. You know, my mom went to Norton when she had cancer. Of course, she worked there, but
they're good people.
Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing bad to say. I've heard other things, but in my mind, they're a top employer for a reason and everything. So,
all right.
I guess with that, do you have anything you want to add?
That wraps it up, I think.
All right. Good. I guess, again, with that, if you like us, like our video, consider subscribing, give us the thumbs up. Again, drop a comment and tell us what you did or didn't like, or if you completely disagree with our assessment of something. We're here to learn as well as just kind of spread as much information about Louisville as possible and why we are such in the position we are in the state of Kentucky, I guess. You know what I mean? So, definitely. With that, as always, be blessed. Bless someone around you.
See y'all next time.
We'll see you later.